as we like to do every year, and I think it's equally appropriate because we are 1 foot in 2023, 1 foot in 2024. Let's go and review the year that was for Legend of Zelda in 2023. I have some thoughts, and you put together a great list and whatnot. But I guess just like really quickly, generally speaking, your quick like 2 sentence thoughts on the year that was.
2 sentences. Okay. This year was very busy. This year was better than 2022.
Well, that's for sure. 2022, we did that great episode. That's one of my favorite episodes of the Zelda Cast, actually, is when we went year by year and like ranked all them. I loved that episode. And we were talking before the show. We ranked 2010 the worst year ever, ahead of 2022, but I think that we just did that because we didn't, you know what I mean? Like,
didn't want to feel too negative about 20.
It's kind of like when you go and see a movie and it absolutely sucks, right? And then you leave the theater, you're like, it wasn't like that bad because you want to justify wasting your time and your money, right? And then like a couple months later, you're just like, you know what? The ending of Game of Thrones really did suck. It really was bad. So that was 2022. I think that was the worst year in the history of the Legend of Zelda business.
I think so too. Yeah, just remembering how we ended the year last year and gosh, how we even like dragged ourselves through 2022 is amazing. So yeah, it was a struggle year for sure.
Yeah, not one to be proud of. So you're right. My 2 sentence review would be better than 2022 by a long shot, but probably could have still been even better.
Okay.
And you know what? That actually, maybe I'll take that back actually, because we did have a really good year for Zelda. But I do think that there could have been some, I don't know, just a little bit more oomph in the year. But I guess let's just start and review, because I mean, by all metrics, like we did have a really fantastic year that was for Zelda, and we did get to see a lot of new games, a lot of old games come and be made available for a lot of people, so a lot of new games, and some cool announcements and stuff. So let's kick it off. Al, now this is your list you curated. I wonder, do you want to take the reins, or do you want me to navigate through here? How do you want to do this, Al?
I can like start us off, and maybe we could just jump back and forth like we usually do.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I created this list because I was bored at work the other day. and,
Rock on!
I think why you feel like it might not have had, like it might have missed a little bit of an oomph is because the oomph came in February after years of not really having any oomph.
Yeah, that's probably true.
February was like, aside from obviously the release of Tears of the Kingdom, was probably our biggest month for Zelda this year. So there was a Nintendo Direct in February. And I started off this list by saying that the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance were announced for NSO, which means that we got Minish Cap, we've got the Oracle games, and I'm pretty sure Link's Awakening DX as well on the Switch, which is like pretty monumental because a lot of those games are either on your handhelds, your old school handhelds, or if you were able to pick them up on the DS, that's great. Minish Cap was on Wii U, so it was great for that to come to the Switch, and Link's Awakening DX also on your handheld, so that was good to come to your Switch as well.
Can I tell you, this is a total left field turn, so I'm sorry, but I have an insane story to tell you if you want to hear it. Okay. So the other night, Gooey and I are we're getting together to record something for virtual theater, and what we were doing is we were going to watch Lara Croft Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie, and then like provide commentary over it. So like the idea being that like you, the listener, could fire up the movie, listen to our commentary, right? So I have a copy of the Tomb Raider DVD, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be so easy, whatever. And Goo has a copy that he also obtained electronically, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to put my DVD in my computer, and I'm just like, wait a second. There's no disk drive! No! And then Goo is just like, don't worry, I got it. And he goes ahead, and he's just like, wait a second. This is in Espanol! No! So we're scrambling like Hansel and Zoolander trying to figure out how to get this to work. And I'm like, I know what'll do. I'll go get my Wii U and plug it into my laptop or to my computer, stream it, put the disc in, stream the movie somewhere, and like create a private Twitch account so that nobody sees it. And I was like, as I was kind of detailing this, it was like, what the hell am I talking about? This is the most insane plan I've ever seen. There's like 4 inches of dust on my Wii U. I'm not touching that thing. So we ended up watching Austin Powers instead. But
oh my god,
I thought that was funny, like to bust out the Wii U of all consoles. Anyways,
yeah, seriously.
I'm sorry, I derailed us there, but
that's okay. I mean,
February was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that was the kickoff, at least for Zelda related news in the Nintendo Direct. And for me, that was good news because I got to replay Minish Cap. Not that I couldn't have on the Wii U, I just wasn't going to.
Yeah.
But I played Minish Cap. That started our retrospective episodes that we did on Minish Cap. We did dungeon ranking episodes of Minish Cap. So that was like really good for like, I think, old and new fans of Zelda who could finally play those games or just rehash those games.
Now, February, I remember it had like a ton of Wicked, a lot of stuff in that Direct was amazing. And specifically, I remember Metroid Prime Remastered coming out, which was like...
You like very much claim that was the best Nintendo Direct to date.
I think it might have been. Like, it was so solid. Ironically, the only thing that wasn't like super, super Wicked, and I think that we agreed on this at the time, was the Tears of the Kingdom trailer was like, it was okay. It wasn't, it was like we eventually did get like a really amazing Tears of the Kingdom trailer.
Yeah.
But that was, I think, just looking at this, like a few weeks, if not months out. This Tears of the Kingdom trailer, I think, was just okay, right? Like, it wasn't anything that we thought was like incredible. It's kind of like more Sky, more kind of stuff that we'd seen.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember when we were reviewing it that, you know, the director, it wrapped up the Direct pretty much. And we both reacted to it, and yeah, it kind of felt like we were still kind of in the getting the appetizer, as you would say. Yeah. I personally thought, however, that it was really like, I was the one who was dissecting it. This is the one where I took the imagery from this trailer against imagery from Breath of the Wild and was analyzing like screen for screen shot. So I really enjoyed that project that I like made myself do. And like looking back at it now, I rewatched the trailer while I was making this list, and I'm like, yeah, clearly there were so many different changes, and I know what these changes are now looking back at my images and stuff. So it's kind of fun. But I mean, I thought it was great. We got that reveal, the voice reveal of what we suppose was Ganondorf, and I love how everybody at the time was trying to guess who it was. It sounded like Matt Mercer, so that was also pretty cool for that trailer.
Yeah, and it is funny looking back, isn't it? Because we're just like, what are those green swirly things? Like, what are they? And like, just a couple other like different things. And I remember that actually that was when we, I don't think they officially revealed Gleeok in the game yet, but that you could see like the kind of shadow of Gleeok on the bridge on Hylia, which was very cool as well. So it was a good trailer, but it didn't, for me personally, it felt a little overshadowed by Metroid, which is ironic because I thought the first Tears trailer in forever, the one in 2021, was also overshadowed by Metroid when they announced Metroid Dread. Although that was like an all-time great moment. So that's tough. Like, I think even if you weren't a Metroid fan, you were just like, oh yeah. So yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, very good month, but there were a few negatives. There were a few negatives in February, as you've brilliantly laid out. Actually, like maybe more than a few. First and foremost, the Link amiibo. Because what does everybody need more of?
I understand how you feel about Link amiibos, but this one was so cool because it was based on the statue and it's got Link's arm. No. I personally am like, this was a positive.
He wasn't even Caveman Link.
Coming. Come on, we knew it was coming, like that he was gonna have that we were like seeing that statue and we are like, this is gonna be the next amiibo. Yeah, but like, we knew it was coming.
Give me like sexy shirtless Link doing his pose where he's got like his hand behind his head, or you know exactly what pose I'm talking about, Al. And like, and he looks kind of cool and he looks kind of like Conan. And instead, it was the amiibo of him looking exactly the same as Breath of the Wild, except
but he's got his
hand. Now they did eventually make this right because the amiibo that was released later was awesome. But yeah. I was just kind of like, oh god, not this again.
Poor Andy. All the Link amiibos.
I mean, it's just like there's just an outrageous amount of Link amiibos, right? Like
There is a lot of Link amiibos. I feel that way about, if anybody could see the shelves in my room, I feel that way about the Grogu Funko Pops. Because I'm like, like, I love Grogu, but there's so many Funko Pops, and I want to have them all, but at the same time, it's just a ridiculous amount.
too much, yeah.
Too much of a good thing.
So that was a thing. The game Tears of the Kingdom was $10 more, which
$70 game price.
yeah, I remember this direct actually just very specifically being super weird to me in terms of like game pricing because like in my head, and I feel like this logic makes sense, right? Like in my head, I was like, we're 6 years into the Switch's lifespan. Like every first party Nintendo release has been $79.99 Canadian and $60 American. Like it's not gonna change now. And then Tears of the Kingdom comes out and it's $10 more. And then Metroid Prime Remastered comes out and it's like half price. And it was like, what? Like what's going on?
Yeah, that does sound weird. I think to me it made sense because I at this point I had my PS5 for a couple months and the games that I wanted to play were $70. So like it kind of made sense to me. I was like, this is a big game. It's got seemingly more content that we know of at this point.
Yeah.
It kind of made sense that Nintendo was trying to grow with the age of video games where they're starting to go up a little bit in price. So to me it made sense. Like I didn't really like the idea of it, but at the same time I was like, I'm not gonna complain. I know I'm gonna buy it. So
yeah, I mean, I guess it was something also, though. It was a choice.
Yeah, if you also consider like, again, now we have the knowledge of what is on this game, which is a crap ton of content. I mean, we've kind of been critical about the content, but you can't deny that there's so much good content in this game. On top of the fact that it doesn't have DLC, so you were paying for like a complete game, and I feel like $70 makes sense.
Yeah, that was true. Like I don't like I think charging that is fine. It did seem curious a little bit, I think.
Especially when Nintendo later said this is not the standard going forward. It's just this is how we feel we needed to up the price of this game.
Well, I mean, like if any game is worth 10 extra bucks for the amount of stuff that you can do, it's probably Tears of the Kingdom. So I mean, you're not wrong there. And then the art book, the collector's edition art book leaked everywhere. That was a big deal. Big deal.
They announced that collector's edition, and I thought it was cool, but at the same time, I was kind of like, I kind of was biding my time with it, and I was kind of like, it's okay. And I think the only reason I really wanted it was that art book. But then when they leaked the art book, I was like, okay, I don't really need it, because I totally looked at the leaks. Did you look at the leaks?
Oh, I looked at them right away.
Yeah, I did too. I thought about it for a second, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna look. Who am I kidding?
I was like, okay, so this is an art book that comes with the game, like on day one that you buy it. So like, there's probably not going to be spoilers in there, right? Like, and there wasn't. There was no spoilers. Like, I mean, obviously everyone's definition of spoiler is different, but like,
it's different, yeah.
Yeah, so like, there wasn't any major story spoilers in there. I don't think. Like, I looked at it and saw all the outfits, and I was like, this is cool. Never looked at it again. I don't remember seeing anything that was like, oh wow, like this is Zelda's turning into a Dragon.
Yeah, no, we definitely didn't see that. I think the only thing I saw that was probably considered a spoiler, but it was more of a spoiler that we were already anticipating, was the mural that had Ganondorf on it. So it was like,
did I spell dragon wrong? I think I spelled dragon wrong, Al.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Please know that I can spell dragon if you're listening to this. It's a little bit harder to do if you're spelling it out. But you're right. They did have the Ganon mural, which was pretty sick.
That's a cool mural. So that to me was probably the only real spoiler that I was like, ugh, But you see it within the first like few minutes of the game, anyways. So,
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's zip over to March, and I thought that this was a little bit funny, because this normally doesn't happen. But I think that you and I were not the only ones that were lukewarm on the trailer shown in the Direct, because pretty much right after, E.G. Aonuma had a gameplay video where he laid out step by step like what the new abilities were. And that's the first time, like, and it was in response to the video. I think, I can't remember who at Nintendo said. It might have been Aonuma himself, but like people didn't seem to get the gist of what this game is really going for in that trailer, which They didn't.
Yeah, I
So
think when I was researching this list, I think I saw somewhere that this was like a last minute marketing
it was,
decision.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very like good idea because
Yes.
you really did not get the idea of any of these abilities, to be honest, in any of the trailers that you'd seen beforehand. So I mean, this of course is where we get Ultra Hand, laid out, Fuse, Ascend, and the other one, Recall.
Recall. Yeah. I really appreciated it, especially like the start of the video. Like obviously throughout the video you're getting
Yeah.
kind of a tutorial of the abilities, but I like the start because they kind of start you off by the dueling peak stable, so you can kind of see how the world has started changing, the pieces falling from the sky, how you can recall the pieces back up to the sky to get there. I thought that part was my favorite bit because I was like, okay, cool, I'm starting to actually see how this
Yeah.
world has changed. Versus like the obviously I like the ability showcase too, but I just liked seeing how the world had changed and like showcasing the Sky Islands a little bit more and showing us what we were in for with those Sky Islands.
That was the first time I really remember like seeing that gorgeous fall aesthetic
Yeah,
that the Sky Islands
yeah.
have, and I was just like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, this is my confidence was slowly coming up because I had been, and I still am, very critical of the way that Nintendo marketed Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like that's why February felt like such a big month because that's when they really finally started marketing this game was in February.
Pretty much, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. But then we got well, actually, before I skipped to April, we did get a new Tears of the Kingdom OLED, which is like fine if you're into that.
I am into that, but I also was like, I have a perfectly good working Switch. I literally have no reason to buy another Switch because I don't have like a
Yeah,
significant other spouse, partner, brother, sister that uses it as much as I do. So I was like, I don't have a reason to justify spending money on this, but I do want it. But then at the same time, I was like, when is the next Switch coming out? When is the next
I
console coming out?
know. I
So it
still.
was really hard, and I decided not to get it. And I do think it's beautiful. I got to see it at the marathon because a few people had it, and the Pro controller as well.
Uh,
And I think they're great, but
I really want an OLED because I play like 99% now
oh, it's a
handheld.
bigger screen on the handheld, right?
It's a bigger screen, and I have like the OG like day one Switch,
I do
right?
too.
So my
Yeah.
my battery is just like you get like 2 hours out of it, and then it's like, oh, I'm feeling a little tired. Whereas like even like I think a year after, Nintendo significantly upgraded the battery life in the Switch.
Okay.
So which is kind of bogus because like if you bought a day one Switch, you just get stuck with a crappy battery, and if you bought a Switch like a year later, you paid the same price and you just have a way better battery. So it's kind of lame that they never offered anything to like people who bought the day one Switch and instead were like, well, you can buy this new OLED. But
Yeah.
I
I
think
feel like if my Switch ever, takes a poop, then I'm gonna get the Zelda one.
I'm gonna get an OLED, and I don't know. Maybe I'll get a Zelda one. Maybe I won't. If there's a Metroid one, maybe that'd be cool. I don't think there
That'd be
is.
cool.
Maybe a Pikmin one. I don't know. All right, let's go to April though. April was wicked. April was wicked. This is the month that I remember finally feeling excited about Tears of the Kingdom because for some reason there was just something about it. Probably the long stretch and like lack of information, and I was just kind of like upset that we didn't know anything, that like Nintendo didn't seem to care about marketing this game really all that well. Like we didn't know
Yeah.
we didn't even know what it was called until September, like less than 6 months before it actually came out. That's not true actually. It was about 9 months, but whatever. But I saw this trailer, and this trailer wasn't as good as the Breath of the Wild 2017 trailer. Few trailers are as good as that though. You think so?
I do. I do think it's as good, if not better.
Oh, no
I
way.
do. Like, and you know what? I think it's also the music, which you don't care for as much as I do, but the music just really hits in this trailer
Yeah,
almost
maybe.
as much, if not better, than Breath of the Wild,
I
in my opinion.
I'll never forget watching that Breath of the Wild trailer and like that amazing music is playing, and then all of a sudden it goes to the classic Zelda theme as
It
Link
does,
is
yeah.
riding Epona
But
across the sunset.
in the Tears trailer too. So it's like it does have those epic and then the saxophone in the middle, like just so good.
It was a sick trailer. It was definitely a wicked trailer.
Yeah.
Ganondorf finally sounded cool, which was wicked. And this is the trailer where he kind of looked like Demise at the end, right?
Yeah, there was like
Ooh.
we did like a like frame by frame analysis of this trailer because that's how excited we
Yeah.
were about it. And yeah, there was like he was looking like Demise, and people were wondering if it was Demise, and I was over here being like, no, it's just like a cloak of power, which is what it wound up being. So, yeah, he looked really sick.
It was awesome. And it's probably, for those hoping that it was going to be Demise, I feel like, this is probably the closest you're ever going to get to that, where Ganon looks basically like Demise. He's him in spirit, so, like, just go with that. Like, it's going to be...
Go with it.
It's going to be good. And then, like, seeing some of the new abilities, like, in effect was really cool. It was finally that, like, cinematic trailer. And I know that you and I kind of like, we watch a Game Awards, right? And there's, like, 1,000 kajillion cinematic trailers. So, like, yes, you can overdo it. But, like, I don't actually think Nintendo leans into that enough. Like, there's a balance between, like, showing cool gameplay and showing a really engaging cinematic trailer. And they don't always walk that line very well. And I feel like the Breath of the Wild trailer is the perfect walking of that line. And this one wasn't far behind, I don't think.
I agree. And I think I might know why they decide not to. Because if you do go back after playing the games to watch those two trailers, it's very heavily story. Like, you can see almost every story element in those trailers where you're like, this was a cutscene, this was a cutscene, this was a almost every cutscene, is in those trailers. So I can see why they don't want to do that as their initial marketing. And I like that with Breath of the Wild, they did it 2 months before. With Tears, they did it a month before. I like that they do that. I just kind of wish that there was a little bit more, like, Breath of the Wild had better marketing and there was plenty of information leading up to that cinematic trailer. We just didn't have that with Tears.
Yeah. And like, we've said it before, it's probably worth mentioning again. Nothing will ever be like Breath of the Wild. Like, they had to market that game in a certain way because it was literally their only game, and it was like their last silver bullet, So, like, nothing will be marketed like that. But yeah, I hated the way that Tears was marketed, as everybody knows, and I'm sure everybody's sick of me saying. But this trailer was awesome. This trailer was so good. Is this the one? Was it this one, or was it the February one where the shot of Rauru, it just, like, focused on him, and he's like,
I'm pretty sure it's this one.
It stays for like 10 seconds. And it was like, oh my god, this guy's like seeing into my soul.
Yeah, and we didn't know it was Rauru at the time, obviously. So we're like, who is this guy? Who is this goat man? You know? And yeah, it was definitely interesting. And yeah, there was so much going on. There was, again, this was also confirmed that Ganondorf was the villain. Like, we had our suspicions beforehand, but it was actually showing him, Ganondorf, being the villain. So that was also a very hype moment. And then, a lot of the showcase of the abilities and stuff, and seeing more of Zelda and hearing Zelda's voice more in the trailer as well. So it was a very hype trailer.
Very cool trailer. And then, of course, this is when we started to get confirmation of what we already suspected, but like all the same voice actors were coming back. It was indeed Matt Mercer who did the voice of Ganondorf. By the way, Matt Mercer, if you ever want to come on the Zelda Cast, you just let me know.
Yeah.
I sent him an email way back when, but there wasn't a direct way, so I had to go through whatever
He's
his D&D
a very
thing is.
Busy guy, so his Critical Role stuff,
that.
Yes.
So it was pretty cool. It was nice to just feel like really excited about a new Zelda game, which for me, anyways, and. I just want to stress again, like, I think it's different for us because, like, we cover Zelda weekly and, like, we cover Zelda, like, extensively for the last several years. So that was, it was nice to just feel like this is so awesome. I'm so pumped. What else happened in April? I guess the Twilight Princess manga was finished.
This is more of like an honorable mention. Is like for this has been going on for years. I can't remember the exact number of years, but the final volume to the manga was released in April. So that was a pretty big deal to the people who've been following the manga for years.
Yeah.
And I want to get them because I have the other manga, but I kind of am hoping for more of a collector's edition whenever that decides to come out.
This is going to sound so lame, but I have a problem with manga, and I think it's because you have to read, like, from right to left. And it's
backward.
Just like, it's just this mental hurdle in my brain. Because we started reading the manga on Omega as well, like to review the manga and stuff. And we found that that's all hosted by Metro Database online, and they have like PDFs, right? So it's like page. So it's not like as bad, but I have the Ocarina of Time manga, and I was reading it, and I just like there was steam coming out of my ears, and like I was having a little bit of a breakdown trying to like just fully get it, and I was like I I don't know what it is, but it's just like did not click, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine that being difficult. Like I grew up reading manga, so I'm used to that. And I think people who like, you know, have had years, especially growing up with it, you're kind of out of your learning period, so it's hard to like relearn how to read something new in a new way. Does that make sense?
If you want to learn another language, it's best to do it as a kid.
Yeah, very true.
Very true. Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.